We've been talking about it a long time, almost 2 years now. I've been talking about the crisis in management. So you have a situation since then, as we said, in 2020, a senior superintendent by the name of Calvin Brutus was brought to head the police admin. Never before such a junior rank. The admin position in the force is, perhaps we will tell you, one of the most important functions, along with the Commissioner of Police role. They bring Calvin Brutus, a man who didn't know his ace from his ass. They bring it in. If you look now at what is going on, look now. You have a man in charge of finance who is a superintendent with little experience to manage the finances of the police force. Look at the quartermaster store. The man in charge of the police quartermaster store, and these are units under the man in charge of admin, is an inspector of police. The man at the quartermaster store is an inspector. Up to recently, the man in charge of the transport workshop was a cadet officer. And then following the drug bust on Region 1, they brought the senior superintendent Shah from there and they put him as the transport officer. And they moved the cadet officer, I think, in charge of the marine section. They have a cadet officer in charge of the police mounted branch. They have a cadet officer, I understand, that was a commandant of the police training school. The force is in crisis. The force is in crisis. And they don't want to admit it, notwithstanding the nonsense that Gail Teixeira wrote to Mr. Norton, where she said, let me read it. I got to continue to read it. And this is an exchange. You know, the Constitution requires meaningful consultation between the president and the leader of the opposition in order to appoint deputy commissioners and the commissioner. And therefore, they started writing. Gail Teixeira wrote on behalf of the president, sometime, I think in September or somewhere there, to say that and she provided the name to say that the president is considering appointing these persons to deputy commissioner and Ikin as commissioner of police. Mr. Norton responded and he said he is in favor of Ikin. Because since then, they don't talk about those who are recommended for deputy Ikin. And he pointed out several reasons why Ikin should not be appointed commissioner of police. And Gail Teixeira wrote back. And in the last paragraph of the letter she wrote to Mr. Norton, dated the 2nd of October, 2024, hear what she said. I am to inform you that in the circumstances, having considered your contentions, and upon weighing same against the accomplishments of the Guyana Police Force under the superintendence of Mr. Ikin, including the significant decrease in serious crimes, improved public confidence in the force, the overall enhanced performance of the force, and in particular, the performance of Mr. Ikin, His Excellency has concluded that it is in the public interest and in the interest of national security that Mr. Clifton Ikin be appointed Commissioner of Police. That is what Gail Teixeira said. And then we had one named Shorwin Crandon. He wrote a letter to say, in his humble opinion, Ikin sells Guyana the way it ought to be sold. In fact, we have read that most of the Caribbean is trying to adopt the principles, policies, and methodologies used by the Guyana Police Force in an effort to reduce crime. Well, I can perhaps, I don't know who Shorwin Crandon is, if it's a real person or if it's just some troll or something. But I know Gail Teixeira. And I said that perhaps we can forgive her because it might be the effect of excessive use of nicotine. God, everybody knows she does smoke a lot. So this nicotine might have had her delusional. To write to say what improved confidence in the police force and all this, there's got to be somebody who's smoking some cow dung or cow shit. This is not even cheap weed. This is some concoction for somebody to write this crap, to talk about the improved confidence in the police force, reduction in serious crime, and this force under the superintendents of Ikin doing so well. They're doing so well that when they had the last big drug bust in Region 1, involving the DA, involving Kanu, and involving the GDF, he was left out. The police force and the commissioner himself were left out of the planning and execution of that operation. Left out completely. Even Rosenberg, once it uncovered the large quantity or the large stash of drugs, and Rosenberg decided to take the media personnel in there to see part of the operation. He didn't carry Ikin, he didn't carry no police. And you remember, only recently, this before bringing Mr. Kadri again, only recently, when the media asked Robeson, Minister of Home Affairs, if he has confidence in the police force, he refused to say so. He said, you get confidence in me. I have confidence in myself. The Minister of Home Affairs refused to say publicly whether he has confidence in the police force and be able to share right this piece of nonsense to tell the people that. Robeson said, in other words, he said, you never get confidence in them, I get confidence in me. He didn't say so in those words, but that's what he's implying. Because if you're asked if you have confidence in the police force, you refuse to say so. All you said, I have confidence in myself. It means that you don't have confidence. It means that you're saying that you don't have confidence in the police force. Let me bring in Mr. Connery. See, your views on what I've said so far, man.
Yeah, you so correct, you know. But let me just go back to the reform, the citizen security program that they had when the same government, when they were previously in government. And we had a citizen security program. Paul Youth started the reform, and then we had the reform, and then Henry Green said, hey, you got to take it over. And they had what we call a strategic plan. Capita Simmons conceptualized, designed, and developed a strategic plan 2011-2015. We started some good work. I think Patrick Mentor was here heading it. He did some excellent work. He was getting his foot in, and then Silal Prasad scrap it, throw it aside. But there are some important things that the people mention that coming back and haunting us. And here's what I said. Bear with me while I read out some of them. There will be a lack of suitable equipment for officers of the Guyana Police Force to meet new and emerging challenges. Example, increased marine air capacity, improved vehicle, etc. Another one, the Ministry of Affairs does not have a strategic plan to give guidance to the GPF. Next, managers of the GPF will not be equipped to deal with new and emerging challenges arising from modernization. Another one, there be insufficient succession planning to ensure that skilled resources are in place to deal with the plan. Another one, staff may be resistant to change so that activities outlined in the plan may not be achieved or will have to be delayed. Another one, this one is important, alleged perceived corruption within the GPF will adversely affect public trust and confidence in the police. Let me repeat it. Alleged and perceived corruption within the GPF will adversely affect the public trust and confidence in the police force. Insufficient human resource will be available to the police to implement the plan. An increase, and this is important, an increase in the economy of Guyana may increase the demands of the GPF, which cannot be managed with existing resources. And this last one, there are many more. There may be implication of the nature and type of criminality in Guyana as a result of an increase in the population. Example, an increase, an influx of non-Guyanese national. So since 2011 or thereabout, they had warnings. They had early warnings in terms of what is likely to happen. The projection there, the strategic plan implemented by Capita Simmons that they presented to this government, and they talk about all these things. Now these things coming back and haunt us. They had a plan, and then they scrap it, and these things coming back to haunt us. We had early warnings, and here it is. All those things that they mentioned in 2011 are live, are active right now in the Guyana Police Force.
Yeah, my brother. Well said. Well said. Well said. Now, before we move on, let me invite you again to chair. Give him a